Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. It's Monday, the 6th of May, 2024. We are here after round 8, a loss to the Collingwood Footy Club. I've got Nick from the Cheer Squad with me. Mr. Wishart, how are you?
I'm good, Terry. How are you, brother? Thanks for having me back on.
No, of course. Talking a little bit just now, back before we hit live, I was saying I'm very grateful that I watched the replay just before, or finished the replay just before we came live tonight, because it told a little bit more of the story about Friday.
I do think that, I'm guilty as anyone. Carlton fans, our passion is never more paramount than after a Collingwood game, win or loss.
Yeah.
And although I will never accept a loss against that mob, I'll never be okay with it.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as a lot of us are making out. If we are going to be where we need to get to be, we need to be winning those games. Don't get me wrong. Just think our structure's holding up okay.
Yeah.
And a few little tweaks rather than wholesale changes is what we need.
Yeah. It's never as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems either. So
True.
somewhere in between. So we'll get into that. We'll get into Friday night. We'll talk about all the things that have happened. We'll talk about Thursday night, short turnaround against the D's. Lots to cover. We are, of course, brought to you by Canoleria. Link in the description and link in the live chat. If you're at the South Melbourne market, they've got a stall there. Absolutely delicious. And if you need any catering done, they're obviously looking after you there as well. So another Carlton business to add to the family. All right. Nick, we're going to get straight into it. We're going to talk about Friday night. In the meantime, those of you at home watching, please summarize in one sentence. We're going to extend 3 words to a sentence because there might be a bit going on. But in one sentence, what happened in round 8? Nick, what was your experience round 8? How did it all play out for you?
Round 8 was one that got away from us. I just think that ultimately they had a bit more class and a bit more polish when it mattered. My wife Michelle made a comment that it wasn't the Dacos goal. Might have been Bobby Hill. Someone slotted one from the pocket, from about row H at our end on the run. And Mish just said that we don't seem to be getting those sort of goals. Like there's no player with a bit of X factor who just goes bang, watch this, and of course we've got Charlie and Harry and everything, but majority of our goals, and it's by design, majority of our goals come from marks or free kicks inside 50. We've got the targets there to aim at. Just where's that extra layer of if plan A is not working, where's our plan B? And I just think of a few of our smalls just a bit more hungry at the contest, and we're almost there. A bit of class back. Hopefully, Jack Martin can be one of the people that can help add a touch of class up forward. But ultimately, I thought, Dacos' goal was to win. It was if you're going to go down to a goal like that. It was you wanted that ball more than anyone else in the park. Good luck to the bloke.
Yeah. Yeah, we spoke just before we went live. What I realized when I watched the replay was it was actually more of an arm wrestle than I had believed it was on the night. I thought we established and found dominance early in the game, particularly in the first quarter, maybe 5 minutes into the second.
Yep.
Then the Pies were able to make an adjustment with what they were doing with their pressure. That lifted in the second. They kicked 5 in a row, the 5-goal swing. Haven't seen that in a while. The third, I thought, started not great, but I thought we actually wrestled it back and again made it into that arm wrestle that we spoke about. And then, we're talking about a stoppage goal that separated us in the fourth. They had their momentum early in the fourth. We came back hard pretty late. De Koning steps up. And then I think what you said is pretty spot on. Critical moments. They're more drilled. They execute better in those moments. It's kind of why they won the flag, isn't it?
Yep. I think we were 20 points up and we missed those ones to put us that extra goal ahead, that breathing room. We were 4 goals up, and I think it was Cottrell that got run down in the middle. Just a really important tackle at a really important time. It's those little moments. We can look at the numbers of clearances and all that sort of thing, but if you win a clearance when you're currently 20 points up, and it's got to be a good clearance. If you get a center clearance that gives you a deep entry inside 50 rather than just some hack kick up and to a pack of about 14 guys where all of our tools go up and no one stays on the deck and all that sort of stuff. Those real critical moments just need a bit more polish. And as much as I think we can be trusted as a club in those sort of situations now, we've proven that we're starting to really play those situations well. We've had 18 months of it now. Collingwood have had 4 years of that, or at least 3 years of that now. Those sort of moments, those big moments come, and they've just got so many players with so much experience in those moments. And sadly to say, I looked at Pendlebury's game, and the bloke's 40, isn't he? 400 something games.
Smart.
Just certain clearances, and people have talked about that last clearance he kicked out of bounds. He just knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Get the ball, get on the outside of the contest, and just boot the piss out of it into space. Worst case scenario, even if that was turned over, the ball was down their end, the defenders had time to back up, and he's taken 20 seconds off the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario for him. Just class.
Yeah. Did you feel, I mean, I felt leaving the game Friday that the Pies wanted it more. There was more of a desire and a willingness to outwork and be the harder working team on the night. Did you feel that way?
In hindsight, yeah, I do. I on the day, I thought they put it into decent. They had a fair dip, but ultimately a turnaround, and then again, it's all hindsight. You go and watch a replay and everything, and then all of a sudden the broken tackles you notice a lot more. On the day, you go, oh, that wasn't good effort, but then you watch it on replay, you go, oh, because you're waiting for that moment to come up that you thought of on the night. Yeah, certain broken tackles. You notice second efforts a lot, or lack of second efforts, I should say, a lot more. Yeah, I do. I think they outhunted us at the end. Yeah.
I think that's the part that sat with me all weekend. Didn't watch the replay until this afternoon. Had Greek Easter on Sunday. So, whatever. But it was just that feeling of going into a Collingwood Carlton match and just leaving thinking, wow, the Pies just wanted it more. And that doesn't sit well with me. And then, to be honest, I was reflecting, are we putting too much gravity into this rivalry thing? Is this just something that is generational because of what's happened in the past? And the reality is I don't know if, I mean, I look at Collingwood and the way that they operate, whether it's on field, off field. I mean, the club, Collingwood put out a promo for the game about the rivalry. Carlton didn't. I don't know if that's a telling part of the story, but I don't know if our boys hate Collingwood as much as what the fans do at times.
I think it still exists. I think it was very deliberate and very pointed, I feel, that we announced we got to 100,000 members before Collingwood did. I think I don't doubt the figure, but I think they were absolutely steadfast on making sure we were the first to that mark this year. And I think that the week that they announced it was not, again, a coincidence. I think those little things still drive within the four walls. We heard Jacob mention that was it the 2022, the final game of the season. He still got on his phone. He still watches it. It still lives with him, and it still bugs him. Fans should be glad to hear that still pisses him off, because God knows it still pisses a lot of Carlton fans off.
Mate, I'll be honest. I said this in my fan cams on Friday, even in my review. I sat there a little paralyzed as the game went into an arm wrestle in that second/third quarter. Dead honest. I mean, I was sitting up on level 2. I don't know what the energy was like. I mean, I could hear the energy from your end at the cheer squad and the bays there, but I definitely sat there a little bit, as Pommy would say, biscuit ass, like just paralyzed and stressed, and I didn't really get vocal.
I
Did you
think it's a
feel
real
anything
thing. I
like
don't absolutely. Oh God, yeah. There was a
that?
moment now. I mean, G squad, dare I say it, they're under the pump lately. Everyone's full of all sorts of sickness and everything. And on game day, like before the game, people are looking at each other saying, just so you know, I can't get loud today. I've got no voice. My chest hurts, whatever. Um, I've had my own health issues the last couple of weeks, and a few others are in the same boat. So it's kind of been skeleton staff, if I will. That's kind of been all right. All those who can do anything on game day, right? We're relying on you to go over the top at the moment.
Mm.
But it's a real thing. But I found myself noticing like the scores were equal or something, 6 minutes to go, or De Koning had just put us in front or something to that effect, about 5, 6 minutes to go. And I noticed what you said, that sort of silence. And it wasn't just your area, it wasn't just our area, it was the whole ground, to be honest. And even the grog squad, the Collingwood blokes behind us at the punt road end, they got real loud after their first goal, and then they got real quiet after they were down. And even they were quiet in that moment. No one wanted to really arc up. And I kind of found myself saying, guys, there's a kick in it in a Carlton Collingwood massive game. Both teams striving for top four this year. And I kind of turned around to the cheer squad, make some effing noise. Come on, let's go, let's go. It dawned on me in that moment, why are we quiet? But it's definitely a thing. I don't know whether it's fear of what's about to happen, or I don't think it's a lack of trust, because personal feelings, I do trust this group
Mm.
and what their plans are. But it's a real thing. I don't know. Maybe it's fear. Like I'll only speak on behalf of my wife. At least she was sitting there going, "Just don't lose to this mob." I think a bit of it's that,
Yeah. It,
because it's Collingwood. I
yeah.
can almost cop a hard loss. Just don't let it be against these pricks. Like I think
Yeah.
that is the sentiment a lot of Carlton people feel,
Yeah. A
and no
fear of.
doubt they felt the same. No doubt they felt the same. The
Mhm.
sound of the relief as the siren went was Collingwood fans going, "We got them."
Yeah. Yeah. Braden, it's tension. I mean, I could, yeah, for me, I knew when I reflected back, I was sitting next to my sister, my brother, and I kept looking over at Steph, and like, we just had this face. We didn't say anything to each other, but just this face of, because she hasn't been to Carlton Collingwood in many, many years. And I was like, yeah, this is it. Like rocking back and forth. And I don't know. We can't let that happen again next time. Hey.
I think it's also, and I don't want to sour all of everything, but I think part of it is also you don't want to lose to those pricks because you
Yeah.
don't want to face what's about to come after the game and during the week.
Yeah, so true.
And
Motherfuckers.
it's not just in your workplace you got a couple of annoying Collingwood fans, or my cousin texts me after the game and how are you feeling, Nick? I said, like, but it's all the other stuff. Like clockwork, we see reports online about violence after the game, and it's not just their fans. Our fans are as feral and as culpable as everyone else. Everyone's got to pull their heads in. But just, we got targeted as a cheer squad. We walk our stuff around the boundary line to the Ponsford end to pack it all up. Couple of virgins hanging over the fence decide to get lippy, and we have to give it back to it. But like, we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I see the stories about what's happened to the besties during the week. I mean, people just need to pull their bloody heads in. This means it's a religion to everyone. It means
Yeah.
everything to so many people. But pull your heads in, for God's sakes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of fear of knowing that crap was going to come.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've only heard the stories of what it used to be like going to Vic Park, and having the cans thrown at you, and a real hostile environment back in the day. And I think what we saw on Friday was the modern version of that. I don't think
Absolutely.
it's ever going to be perfect. I think it will always have some sort of incident to it, particularly when you're talking about Carlton Collingwood. They're both good sides.
Oh, God, yeah.
Back and forth game all game. You end up winning by a kick within the last minute. Like, your tensions are high, spills over, alcohol, the whole rest.
Yep.
Not excusing anything that happened, but also understanding that these are human beings from a wide range of backgrounds with a wide range of experiences in their lives, and whatever they're doing at the footy and however they're coming. And I mean, it's hard to navigate. It's never going to be perfect is where I'm at. It can just only get incrementally better, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's just disappointing when you have, whether it's performative or whether there's actually substance behind the stuff that happened pre-game.
Yeah.
When you see that sort of stuff, and then you're hearing young women using the term I was followed at the game, or they got in my face and wouldn't let me alone. They put their hands on me, this sort of stuff. By all means, give banter. No one gives more than I give. And even, hurling insults back and forth. There's a line though.
Yeah.
People know what constitutes abuse, and then people know what constitutes harassment.
Yeah.
And again, not absolving Carlton fans. That happens. I see it. I've seen it. We self-police all the time, not just our bay, but neighbouring bays. If we hear a comment that's out of line, whether it's racial or whatever it is, just think, if people can't handle their piss and it gets to a point where you're stalking young women after a footy game, just need your head checked. Anyway, soapbox. I'm done.
No, that's fair. Hey, I've got a question. I've never known about what goes into. I mean, obviously, I've come to banner night. I know what goes into banner night, and we prepare for that. On the fan cams, I think Aiden mentioned here, and I've seen it a couple of times, and I'm sure you have too. There's a reference to Collingwood's war cry, we'll call it. Does the cheer squad get together and talk about such things? What we're going to do today? Like, is there we're going to do this chant at this time in this quarter? I've noticed the drums. Love the drums. But is there some sort of chat that you guys have about chants in certain points of the game or anything like that?
Not as much an organised thing. Depending on who we play.
Yep.
There's been. I mean, we've got chants that might be specific for certain clubs, whether it's we hate Collingwood or we hate Essendon, etc.
Yeah.
But having said that, there's also people who say, no, don't you dare say it, because the second you start pulling that crap out, you just know that Collingwood's going to get a goal or something like that, and then you look even more stupid. I'm the loudmouth. I'm the one who always says, go hard, give it to them. You've got to. Ultimately, as long as there's noise, I am of the opinion that it's good. But no, in terms of an organised war cry, I think these sort of things have to be organic. I've seen people saying, and there has been ones of come on the Blues to the same tune, if you will, of the Collingwood chant. It's got to be organic, though. I think the more that the club has forced certain things down the fans' throat in the past, they tried to make us woof for Matthew Watson. They tried to make us woof for Chris Bryan.
Yeah.
It was just never going to become a thing. You've got to find the right time for the right player. Sardi came along, and it just so happened that he lived next door to Ange, and everything was perfect. Left footer. But there isn't an organised thing. There's a handful of people who are the ones who are kind of, for lack of a better term, in charge of being the vocal chant leaders, if you will, on game day. Having said that, absolutely anyone in the cheer squad or near the cheer squad or sitting anywhere else in the ground, if you've got something, do it. And if it takes off in your bay, the next bay over will hear it, and then the next bay over will hear it, and then the whole stadium will be singing it before you know it.
Yeah.
I think we've got to encourage everyone to bring up your own, start it. There's often times when during the bad years we heard all the time, oh, the cheer squad's too quiet. Get loud yourself, go nuts. If we hear you, we'll hear you and go, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll copy that. Wherever you are in the ground, go nuts, guys. We love the noise.
I've definitely I don't like when I hear that rhetoric or see that rhetoric. Oh, like it's the cheer squad's fault. It's like, Do you realize the cheer squad will latch onto any sound that goes into that stadium and reverberate it? Like,
God, yeah.
go for it. Start it. Do it.
And don't let this be a woe is us. We don't get upset when we hear that. It's for me, if I hear that, I take it on board and we go, right, we always need to be louder.
Yeah.
And I think there's an expectation somewhere online. People say, oh, well, not just the cheer squad, Carlton fans, they only make noise when they're after a goal. Well, no, but I don't think it's going to be like you're going to, Sparta Prague versus Borussia Dortmund or anything like that, where it's 90 minutes worth of just scenes and flares been thrown on the field, and it's that's not AFL style. Can we get a more electric atmosphere on game day? Absolutely. Yeah. There's always more we can be doing. Certain things the club are trying to drive, the Seven Nation Army thing pre-game, I actually don't mind. I think it's got some legs. I don't mind the idea of it. If it gets people up, standing up, making some noise, and the blood's flowing and everything just before the bounce, it kind of means that Carlton fans are on their toes from the opening bounce. And the atmospheres are already hopefully a bit hostile and everything. That's the idea of it. Get the players behind you from the opening bounce. Get the fans behind you. Sorry for the opening bounce, but
I feel like it's coming. I feel like because I haven't seen the conversation about it to the level that it is now, and I think it's just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're talking about a deep run into finals and we can get something going from there. But I don't know what it sounds like. I mean, whether it's "Come On You Blues" or I think they used to do that back in the day, or whatever it is. Those of you in the live chat talking about it, do it. Start it.
Yeah. No,
you got your 4 or 5 mates.
And if you're someone, 100%, and if you're someone who each week, pardon me, upgrades your ticket to sit next to the cheer squad or anything like, or if your member seat is near there, or at Marvel games, if you go into the member zone and try and sit right next to us or anything each week, please do it. We always, to be honest, the people who are in the cheer squad that are the chant leaders, for lack of a better term, have all been doing it for 20 plus years. And I would love to see, especially some younger people, coming through and resting my voice.
Well, we need that next generation to come through.
Yep. And
wow.
In reality, there was a generation of Carlton fan, I feel, that was lost to the club, and they're all coming back.
Okay.
At the footy, I feel that after Favola, Betts, all that crew left, there was almost a generation of guys that kind of said, well, if I'm between the ages of 18 and 24 and it's a Friday or Saturday night, what am I going to spend my time doing? Either am I going to be a 19-year-old and do what 19-year-olds do and go out every weekend or go to parties, or do I want to go and watch Carlton lose every week? For me, I was at the footy. I'd still meet up with my mates and everything after the games, but they'd be saying to me, "You're mad. Like, what of all the things you can choose to be doing?" I feel that it's almost becoming cool to go to the footy again, though. And it's cool to be a Carlton fan again, though. And if young guys are turning up to the footy, or young girls are turning up to the footy too. And if young girls are going to be at the footy, where do young guys want to go? They want to go to the footy too. So I feel it's a thing again. And there's obviously a massive passion from this age group that are coming through. I think you're right. I don't think we're far off seeing that manifest into
something
scenes.
Yeah.
Like Mark Robinson was talking about the semi-final last year, and he called it the zombies, the Carlton fans, when the siren rings, you just see limbs doing this everywhere, and he says, oh, the zombies are coming in. And I think that is becoming part and parcel of Carlton games. We just got to... I can't ask Carlton fans to do their bit anymore. 100,000 members, I mean.
Of course.
But let's see if we can do more.
It's coming. I don't know what it is. I think what we'll do on Wednesday. So those of you who want to tune in on Wednesday, the team show, we'll do a poll. Maybe we'll do some research whether it takes off this week, next week, over the next few weeks. We'll do a poll. Maybe I'll create a form or something. Submit your entries for what you think we could get going. Ultimately, it all sounds great, but if there's no collective buy-in, there's no collective
And you
buy-in.
got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like it all sounds fantastic.
About 2 years before the Wolf took off with Adam Sard,
Yep.
unorganically, our cheer squad were like putting it on our socials about 2020 or so, 2021, whatever it was, he came to the club, saying, hey, let's do this. And it really didn't take off. And then all of a sudden, I remember Ange did a thing with Paolo. I think they went to North and they got him involved. Then all of a sudden, the club get behind it and it gained legs and it was awesome. So I think we tried to, we found a player. Let's do it for him. And no one cared. It's got to be the right time. It's got to be the right scene. But this is all easier said than done. You know, it's easy to try and create this atmosphere. Carlton's got to be winning at the same time. And it certainly helps. I mean, the atmosphere and the energy of the end of last year, none of us will ever forget. Imagine that if you go
imagine we get it going. Because it needs like 2 months of refinement and then into a 100%. Final series. Like it needs time. And, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't help but feel that we are entering into we are in the midst of a tough stretch of the fixture, which we all saw sort of happening. Combine that with some injury concerns. I think what we're seeing now is we're being tested again to see how we're going to respond from and if we learned our lessons from last year. I can't help. I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't become a 6 or 7 loss patch or 8 of 9, whatever it was.
I'm confident it won't, but I strongly agree. I reckon it's when you say what did you learn last year, it's exactly it for me. And that's not just the players, that's the fans.
Yes.
When you have a couple of losses, and we've now got 2 in a row, or 3 out of 4 we've lost, how are you going to respond? Are we going to turn around and become the crap we saw last year of abusing players over the fence and all that nonsense? I genuinely think Carlton fans aren't that anymore. That prelim final in Brisbane, for me, there was a healing that took place in our club. And it was over that journey.
Yeah.
But after that game, seeing Voss stand there, the image of Voss standing on the ground, watching the players come to him, and behind him was a sea of Carlton fans. Not one of them went home. And every single person on their feet, standing on their chairs, getting rowdy for that mob as they walked off the ground in that prelim. It was a moment of healing for me. I think the club grew up a bit. I really do.
Yeah. I've seen, naturally, we're going to compare to this time last year. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. At this time last year, I think we had played West Coast, beat them by 100 odd.
That was fun.
I'm watching our losses and I'm watching us score more in losses. I'm watching our floor rising. Obviously, Friday was frustrating because it's Collingwood, so there's a bit more of an emotional investment there. But
absolutely,
I don't think we're going terribly. I just think when we get some more of our cattle back, I think we're holding up and the individual brilliance is going to take over. I would like to think that even with 8 or 9 of our best 26 out, whatever it is, you know, we can still get the job done. But how are you feeling about guys coming back in and you know, turning the tide?
Well, I don't think we've necessarily been completely outclassed in any of the games so far. Probably a controversial statement. I think our worst performance so far this year was probably the Freo game. For me, that was the most frustrating to watch. It was defense, and we got sucked into Freo, very defensive game style, all that sort of stuff. But we've had, and again, these are excuses. I don't want to get sucked into that either. Crows game, you lose your two running defenders for injury, and then you sub out another one with a knock. And ultimately, the two ruckman that day was a mistake. Selection table, I feel, or you know, replacing a midfielder with a ruck made us a bit slower. But that only, I feel, bit us on the arse because we had 3 rebounding defenders go down during the game, and ultimately, Adelaide small forwards kick a couple of snags out their arse at the end and they run over us. Okay, sweet. Geelong, structurally, I think we held up really, really well. Scored 100 points against a really good side. They took their chances, we didn't. That's all for me, the difference was. Pies, a lot of the same story. They took their chances when they came, we didn't. And I think we lacked a bit of polish. But as you said, if you're doing that with 8 or 9 guys out, and again, Collingwood had a few out, and Geelong had Tom Stewart out, and all that sort of stuff as well. But when you say compare that to last year I saw us lose to Essendon, saw us lose to St Kilda. I know that you went to that Sydney game with me. Was you? Yes, you were there.
Oh, that's Sydney.
At the SCG. And, Matt Owies having a set shot from the pocket and kicking it at right angles into, reckon it landed in Paddington where the thing he kicked it. But even last year, we saw some rubbish. I don't think we've seen any rubbish this year.
Yeah.
And touch wood, I don't want it to come, but I'm confident enough still that we've got Melbourne and then Swans. Is that correct?
Yep.
I'm confident we can at least win one of them.
Mm.
Things are holding up, and the D's are contenders, the Swans are contenders. Just think, Marchbank, McGovern, and Martin are the 3 that Voss said are potentially back this week. McGovern is a no-brainer for me.
Sorely missed.
Sorely. Yeah. And Martin offers, I would argue, structurally more to our club right now than almost anyone on the list. Maybe Fogarty I'd throw in there as well with what we need right now. I saw a thing on Twitter today. Adam Up the Baggers posted this, and he said our defensive, let's call it our back 7. Opening round, we had Kemp, Young, Sard, McGovern, Newman, Williams, Boyd was our opening round 7 defenders. There were no changes for the Tigers game. The following game we brought in Wiedering and Marchbank, Young and Kemp went out, so 2 changes. The following week, Kemp was in for Marchbank. The following week, McGovern and Sard go out for Young and Cowan. The following week, Cincotta in for Kemp. We've only had 3 defenders play every game. So
wow.
7 games in, only 3 of them have played every game so far. So that back 6 hasn't been settled. You've got to get them first and foremost. Backlines win premierships.
Well, that was the most settled line last year, wasn't it?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
It was. I feel if it was our midfield that we couldn't really get right last year. You had Walsh's injury. Chera kind of had a bit of a hamstring niggle. Hewitt got his concussion. I think it was the Sydney game. He got knocked out.
Yep. Walsh was in and out again once he did the hammy.
We were relying on real bit player performances, dare I say it. That sounds harsh, but Dow, Ed Curnow, Jack Carroll, these guys were called upon, probably at Setterfield, they were called upon to probably do more than they should have at times. But yeah, Newman, Williams, Boyd have played every game. And even then, if you were to pick your starting lineup, everyone has obviously Wiedering in it. Everyone would have McGovern in it and Sard. There's 3 just starting guys that just can't manage to keep themselves. Even right now, Wiedering's playing on one leg. That corky he got against GWS, he's carried that the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think he's been outstanding the last 2 weeks, Wiedering. But yeah, get a bit of stability, get a bit of continuity together. It's hard to kind of get that cohesion if the same 6 blokes aren't running out each week.
Mm-hmm. Fair. Last thing before we move on from Collingwood, which I'm excited to now that everything's done, everything's out in the open. Want to go through some votes or just some honorable mentions. You can do your 3, 2, 1 chat, get you to do your 3, your 2, and your 1, and maybe some honorable mentions in there if you'd like to bring up someone in particular. Nick, how did you see the votes or your votes?
Yeah, I gave Wiedering comfortably best on ground. I thought he was magnificent. On the night, it's funny when you say watch the game back in your replay. Is there anyone who all of a sudden got a lot better or weren't quite as good as you thought they were? Players, I had a couple of players in that sort of vibe who, when you watch it back, you go, "Oh, they're way better than I gave them credit."
I think Well, that's a good question. I think Hewitt was a lot better than what I thought he was on the night. I know that he took a few on
He's
and
the
got
one.
pinned a few
I thought he was
times.
great. I thought he was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I initially had Newman for the
He
3.
was one who I also thought.
Who was your 2 and your 1?
I'd also throw Blake Acres in there. So I'd go Wiedering 3. I'd go Acres 2. I thought he was outstanding. Just two-way running. Blake Acres is so reliable. And I'd throw either, it's a toss-up for me, Newman or Pitto. I'd give my 1 vote to. Even Harry Mackay I could give a 1 vote to. They're the 3 names I'd throw up, but probably out of those 3, I'll probably go Newman. Took the Norm Smith medalist to task, was our only rebounding option all night, providing a bit of creativity, but honourable mentions. I'll go to Pitto and Mackay. Just battled all day.
Yeah. So a few things that I noticed upon the replay about players. Now that you mention it, I think Harry Mackay plays the game in a very similar way to how Nick Rivalry used to play the game. Marks the ball up the ground, runs like a midfielder, covers a lot of territory, runs his opponent into the ground. Nick wasn't he wasn't kicking 4 or 5 every week. Harry's obviously kicked 4, but I think the total body of work, watching the replay reminded me for the first time a bit of Nick Rivalry, because that was how I remember Nick playing. Super fit forward, 8-9 marks around the ground. I think Harry's playing a really, I mean, we'll always find something to criticize. A lot of the talk will be about the moment towards the end and could have gone deep, and he maybe he should have gone deep, of course, but can't. But
that's a shame because I thought he'd work his tush off for 4 quarters, and to be honest, I think he's worked his ass off every single week this year. Gets around there against Freo, he runs into an open goal and gets tackled. That's the lasting memory. But to be honest, that game was a forwards nightmare. It was just 2 teams playing ultra defensive lockdown sort of footy. Other than that, I think Harry's been very consistent, but just busting his chops for every single contest. And if we need to get out kick from defensive 50, he's the one providing the contested mark on centre wing. He's laying tackles. I think tackles inside 50. He's dependable. He's chasing. His effort and second efforts have been there. And I'm glad you mentioned him. I think he's been fantastic. I love Harry Mackay.
The other moment that I took note of was Vossi having a red hot crack. I don't know if it was at Chera or at the midfield group, but Chera was there. And it made me ask the question in my mind. And so I'll ask it here. Do you think Vossi on the bench is a permanent thing? And if so, well, if not, when is the right time? Like, do you think he'll go back into the box? How do you, because I mean, I look at it and I think what's really important is to stay composed. Obviously, emotion of the game comes out, and that's Vossi. He's a passionate guy. Sure. I just posed the question to myself, like, I don't know if we want to show too much emotion. I don't mean, what is too much emotion on the bench?
I mean, had Carlton have got up by a kick, the scenes would be very different, and we'd be watching him celebrate on the boundary with the players, and it'll look amazing. I'm going to be really honest. It's something on game day I've got absolutely no knowledge of or awareness of. How much, like, as a percentage, do you think? How often do you think he's actually down there? Is it a 10% of game time? 25? Surely less than 25%, is it? Or
well, I think this year in particular, I think he's been coaching from the bench the whole season. Chat, can you correct me if I'm wrong? I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm pretty sure he's been on the bench. All game this year. I thought it was something we did back end of last year, and I understand it. I mean, there's trust in having Hansen look at things from the box and sort of empowering him to do that. Vossi gets the empowerment message straight away to the players. But I don't believe he's been in the box all year. I don't even know if it's a thing. I've
had absolutely no awareness of this, but now I'm not going to be able to unsee it. I like it. So now, if I'll take that as at face value, do I have a problem with it? I don't know. It's genius when we win, and it's problematic when we lose. Is that right? I had
I
no
mean,
issue with the footage of him and Chera. I presume it was Chera who was having someone on Twitter said, look, he might have been looking past him. There might have been someone else out of the camera shot. Whoever it is, you've got to be able to eyeball players and hold each other accountable. A lot of the Camp Kerno stuff last year was the players saying to the coaching staff, we need more out of you. And the coaching staff saying to the players, we need more out of you. And just having real conversations and going there with each other. So I've got no problem with seeing that. But without knowing about the dynamic of how things are operating, and we know that they brought in Geordie Russell as an extra forwards coach so that Hansen could be the, lack of a better term, the 2IC, the guy overseeing on match day and coaching the coaches. But without knowing the ins and outs of how that's operationally working on a week-to-week basis on game day. And also, I don't know in terms of the feedback he's able to get on game day from, the stats guys and the GPS guys. I'm always cognizant of sitting in a cheer squad. The view of a footy game I get is completely different than what you'd get on level 2 on the wing. The way we would watch the game live would be, you'd notice completely different things. And what I'm really notice is us and our opposition, how teams set up defensively, what their spread looks like, transition, running, that sort of thing is something I can't help but look at, because you're behind the goal and that's the view you get. But it's like, if they're up in the box, the game will look completely different. So I don't know if he prefers being down at ground level. There's obviously probably stuff he'll be missing by not being up in the box. I mean, have you ever played FIFA on a camera angle other than the default one?
No. No.
So
NBA 2K though, I have. NBA 2K I switched to behind.
Okay.
2K view.
So you've switched to behind, so it's like the creator player, the career mode sort of view. Perfect analogy. So that's the view I get every single week of footy. But if I go to it, and there's been games where I've gone to as a neutral and I've sat on level 2 or something, and AFL members or wherever, and you just notice so much different, and footy looks so different to me. And I'm just wondering, I don't know if there's something that he prefers down at ground level. I don't know.
Bit of talk in the chat right now about, to ask you, what are you seeing with our forwards? We do the ratings. We see our small forwards in their heat maps. We call them small forwards, but right now we're seeing them play more up the ground than ever.
Yep.
What do you notice from your view, right behind the goals?
If I hear one more time a cry from the crowd, not just the cheer squad, but the crowd, someone kind of crying out, where are the crumbers? It's all well and good to kick it to Harry and Charlie and try and isolate them. Ball hits the deck, who's there? There was a great, Owies had a great crumbing goal on the weekend. He was fantastic. I thought Owies' game was very good too.
Yeah.
I think his game, Owies is the sort of player for me that isn't going to get his 2 or 3 goals as a result of pure gut running up and down the ground and, running back into the space and everything. I think he's more of I won't get 15 moments a game, but if you give me 4, I'll take care of, I'll slot 3 sort of thing. But Fantasia, I think even Cottrell on the weekend wasn't amazing. Cunningham had a couple of decent inside 50s, but I just look at what I believe has been built as Carlton's brand has been tackling pressure, has been this we talk about the orange tsunami of running in numbers. Carlton over the back end of last year and at certain points early this year have had that, where you could rely on 4 or 5 guys running together and just tackling pressure. If someone gets the ball, 3 blokes set upon them. On the weekend, I didn't see that. And I think it's the area of our game that needs the most improvement. I think we're crying out for the return of Fogarty, Martin. I'd love to see Motlop back. I think Corey Durden needs to lift a lot. I think Fantasia needs to lift a lot. At the moment, they're the players. And I felt Cunningham's game wasn't bad. Those few little moments where he got, I think one of the balls he broke out of a contest. He's running full speed. Everyone else is flat-footed. And I think it was the ball he delivered to De Koning late in the last quarter that put us ahead even maybe, or part of that little comeback. So Cunningham's got that ability to be a game breaker that not a lot of other guys have. I just want to see more of it. I think, again, Cunningham's not the sort of player, not the sort of half forward who's, he's not going to be a Robbie Gray who's going to get 28 and kick 4, or a Zach Bailey, or one of these sort of half forwards that's going to just tear you apart by themselves. He's probably more of I'm going to get 16 good touches rather than 28 touches. I just want to see him be really consistent in the output and get to the right position. I just think structurally we're not, and I'll include the tall forwards. It's got to be Harry and Charlie when the ball hits the deck. They've got to be chasing and tackling too.
Yeah, I mean, total buy-in. It's a total buy-in.
I think the ball is exiting our forward 50 too easily. That's the best way, simplest way I can put it. And that's on all of them. That's on the midfield. Also, if the ball is exiting, the midfield have got to be blocking up that middle third of the ground as well. You've got to have a team defense and a team offense. I can't remember the last score that's been launched off our half back line. So it does, you say it's a complete buy-in from everyone. But yeah, from where we watch the footy, I saw on the weekend John Noble have his way running out of our defensive 50. The week prior, it was, Zach Tui was having his way running just anywhere he wanted, to be honest.
Mate, does it make you sick when these players have career best type games and
against you?
Jeremy Cameron, or Zach Tui kicks 3, but Jeremy Cameron can't miss against us, and then he cannot kick to save his life last week.
Yeah. No, I've got this thing. There's a post I've reshared the same post every time it happens, but I said, I'm so sick of seeing clubs against Carlton play like the Harlem Globetrotters, and then the following week they turn into the Mighty Ducks pre-Coach Bombay. And it's so true. And I posted it against when we played the Crows. They kicked 16-4 or something against us, the Crows. The following week against Essendon, they were kicking them from their shins, just turned into absolute numpties, couldn't kick for the save of themselves. Jeremy Cameron, probably the best player in the comp. He's at least in the conversation, top 3, easily. Yeah. And on the weekend, he could have had a coupon and still not gotten a goal. Unbelievable.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, it shits me. It absolutely shits me.
So looking ahead to this week, I'm just looking at the injury report from last week. So the following guys were 1/1 to 2 weeks away. So I mean, McGovern, it said 1 week last week on the 30th of April. Jack Martin, it said
mentioned in my name. So
yeah, Martin said 1 to 2 weeks. Marchbank, it said 2 to 3 weeks last week. So unless something happened on game day and they realized that Marchbank's going to be back, there's that. Fogarty was 3 to 5 weeks away last week. Motlop was 2 to 3 weeks away last week. Sard was 4 weeks away last week. We miss Adam Sard so much. And then he comes in and he's so unassuming. It's kind of like Walsh. You miss Walsh when he's not there, and then he comes back and then he slots in, and then it's just kind of you do notice him, but Sardi's got this level.
Sardi's it's not just the run that Sard provides. Defensively, can you find me a 1-on-1 that he's lost?
Yeah.
He's you put him at the, he and Mackenzie Arnold, the Minister of Defence, that man could stop COVID. He's that strong. Just 1-on-1 nothing gets past him.
Well, that's the thing about him and McGovern, right? So, I mean, they're both defensively solid. I mean, Saad's elite. He's an All-Australian level defender,
Yep.
but they both offer us something on both sides of the
Creativity.
ball. You know,
Yeah.
like Saad's getting the ball 20, 25 times in a game and locking down his player. You know, Lewis Young, bless his soul, he's just a defender. That's it.
Yep.
We're not getting much offensively from him. That's just Lewis Young. And I think sometimes we get caught up in that. We are missing quality players.
And by putting McGovern and Saad, you put both of those players into your team, how much more freedom does Nick Newman have in his game all of a sudden?
Yes.
How much does that free up Jordan Boyd? How much does that free up Zach Williams? Now, there's been a bit of criticism come on Zach Williams, and to be honest, I think it's laughable. I thought, again, on the weekend, Zach, there was a one-on-one with him and Elliott in the goal square, and Herculean effort to spoil. He's coming back from 18 months out of the game and has, again, played every game. I think he's been subbed out twice, but he's played every single game at a pretty decent level. And because our standards have gone up so high, sure, you've got to make sure your standards, you can't just let him come back and, oh, it's nice he's back playing footy. That's not what we're about. We need to demand results. But in an injury depleted backline, he's being asked to do 50% more every week, as the rest of them are.
Yeah.
And I just think that he's been scapegoated for a backline that's as a whole is under fire. I don't know. I don't get it. There's been a bit of talk about Zach Williams, and I think it's completely unfounded. I think he's been pretty good.
Yeah, fair. What are your forecast as the changes this week? If you've got any in your mind, I mean, it's the D's. It's like 3 days away. Back at the G Thursday night.
If we're going by Voss's statement, he mentioned the 3 names he mentioned by name were McGovern, Marchbank, Martin. If those 3 are all available, the changes I would make would be McGovern in for Young. I would have Martin come in for Fantasia. I want to find a spot for Marchbank, but my confidence in his body right now isn't sky high. Does he need one in the VFL to get in before he comes back to the seniors? He's just had repeat injury after injury. And because it's been a back injury this most recent time, it's a bit of a really watch and see. I've really got to get some confidence in him. So
I have a feeling
Brody Kemp's my other one. I'd sooner bring in Brody Kemp from the VFL.
Yeah. So I watched the presser again, and I have a feeling Vossi talked a little too soon on maybe 1 or 2 of those blokes. I think because he said Marchbank, Martin, he said McGovern, Marchbank, Martin next week. And then he quickly said over the next few weeks. And then now that I've just gone through that injury report, I have a feeling he was quick to put their names out there and then realize, oh, maybe not all 3 will be available next week.
I mean, it'd be nice if they were.
It'd be nice if they were. McGovern has to be ready. Martin,
he's ready. He'll be ready.
Hopefully he's ready.
Well, if Martin's not, I'd still drop Fantasia.
Yeah.
And I might even bring in the extra Kemp. And again, that frees up. I was just talking about how I wouldn't mind seeing a few other guys freed up. Boyd a bit further up the ground wouldn't hurt us. There's a few guys who could, just do with the ball in their hands, maybe. In the VFL, what I saw of it, granted I didn't watch the game from begin to finish. What I saw of it, player who I thought was best on ground probably isn't ready for an AFL call-up. That's Wilson. Ollie Hollins didn't play VFL, so there's no form you can pick him on.
Oh, why?
They can't.
Was he held?
Managed was the word they said.
Oh, okay.
So I wasn't upset seeing him get dropped because I thought he could do with the ball in his hands and just get a bit of touch back and get a bit of confidence back at VFL level. And then when I saw he was managed, I thought maybe he's just carrying a bit sore or something. 2nd-year player, he's only a small frame. But it's hard because now there's no real form to pick him off if they want to put him back in. And there's no one else in the VFL setting the world on fire.
Fair.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantasia and Young for Kemp and McGovern. And then if Martin's remotely close, I throw him in.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I mean, look, it's the D's. I don't think this is going to be much different to the last few weeks. I think we're talking about a coin flip of a game, a tight game, a tension-filled game, less than a couple of kicks in it. Uh, and, you know, history says that we've got to be able to tackle them. I think Joe said it last night on Almost Blues Brothers. I mean, tackle 80 plus times, win the game. Like, let's get back to that blue collar brand. Let's be workers.
Yep.
The talent is the talent. Let the talent work hard first, and then the talent will come out.
The weekend was also the first time in God knows how long that we've had Chera, Walsh, Hewitt, Cripps all in the same midfield. It's been a while.
Yeah.
The prelim final, were they all in there then? I can't think. I don't think they all played semi-final and everything. Walsh only came back toward the final series and everything. But yeah, I think there's room to grow there still.
Yeah.
I mean, the D's are a really good side. I think the last three or four times we played them has all been under a kick. They screwed us out of finals 2022. Last year, Marchbank breaks his hand on Petrarca's shot at goal. The semi-final, I mean, you might have heard about what happened in the semi-final. So we've had a fair decent. I think that shows that both teams match up against each other pretty good as well.
Yep. Yeah. I don't see any angle where I think we can completely devastate them. And I think, you know, for all the talk about the two rucks, this is one of those sides in particular where we have to have them. Yeah. I mean, Peter does really well against Gawn, traditionally, just to make Gawn, you know, work a little hard. Gawn's one of the best ruckmen you've seen in your time. Like, for me, he's one of the best.
He'd be in my top three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean Cox for me is still number one. He changed the game for me. He's my number one go-to at least. But Gawn's right in that conversation. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm probably just too young for Simon Madden. Everyone my dad's age also say Simon Madden was the one, but yeah, they'd probably be the first two names I'd be rattling off in my lifetime. Sandlin's, just because of his pure size, was amazing to watch, but
yeah,
Gawn's an unbelievable, and he's an unbelievable, like, not only a ruckman but a footballer, like
leader. Yeah,
he can get 26 touches and kick 4 and just get on my back, boys. He's one of those sort of players. I just love watching him.
Cheer squad initiatives this week. What have we got? What's happening?
It's a really good question.
Is there a raffle?
We will be doing a raffle. I haven't yet been notified what it is, but we'll probably be getting it online tomorrow. Is Tuesday, so yeah. It's a short turnaround being a Thursday game, so we might get in quick. There's potential that we give it a slide now. I think of it until the following week, but following week we're in Sydney. We're going to have a New South Wales ACT supporter group function up there. So anyone who is either based in New South Wales and ACT, or anyone wanting to come to the footy in Sydney, hit us up. We'll be A, having a pre-game function, but B, organise seats and everything with the cheer squad potentially as well. That'd be good to be back in the heartland of where we've had not a lot of love come for us back up in the SCG. I mean, I think I remember one win we won there 2019. Kaz Bolt and Mick Gibbons kicked a couple late goals and we beat them by a couple of kicks. But other than that, I don't think we've
flipped Papley over upside down on his head.
Yeah, carried him on his back or something. I think that was the same day. Yeah. But there was, I think it was a goal where Mick Gibbons got a bit of shit about him. He kicked a goal and his celebration was like, yay. And they kind of gifted it and they all kind of took the mickey out of him for a bit for that one. But other than that, I don't think we've won many games at the SCG in recent memory. Before that, that was 2019. During COVID, we lost to like lowly West Coast. We lost a few games at the SCG during that. Before that, the last game I remember winning there was Chris Judd taking the piss on the night of the Royal Wedding 2011. And before that, I don't think it was probably another 10, 15 years before that. So not a happy hunting ground. We've got to turn that around.
No, fair. Well, yeah. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to moving on. Cheer squad will be sitting in M3 this week.
M3, Punt Road End, Southern Stand.
Punt Road End.
Get around it. So
Carlton
if
home
anyone
game.
has to upgrade their seat, or anything, it's a Carlton home game. And you're wanting to sit around Carlton people, God knows last weekend shows you don't want to be around the opposition. Be part of the noise. We want it. We're encouraging everyone. We want to be louder, bigger, stronger, more atmosphere, more color, all of it. Let's bring it all. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you're the sort of person who has to upgrade your seat or chooses to upgrade your seat each week, come sit next to us.
Love it. Nick, thanks so much for joining tonight. Appreciate it.
Brother.
Always good for a chat, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Go Blues, everyone.
I'll take you out and let you go because it is 8. I might hang around for a little bit longer.
Thanks, guys. Go Blues.
See you, mate. All right. That was awesome. I'm going to do something a little different for a Monday because I feel like hanging out. If anybody wants to come in, maybe didn't do a fan cam on Friday, or if you have something else that you want to bring up, a topic, a question, jump in. The link is in the chat. If you'd like to bring up another topic, maybe we can have a bit more of a discussion around the chant on Thursday night. If you want to do the poll right now, we can do the poll right now. But yeah, if anyone wants to come in, ask a question, have a chat, hit the link, come in. I think what we'll do is we'll do the chant poll stuff on Wednesday teams. I think that's what we'll do. Also, I will have 2 sets of tickets to give away. 1 set of 2 level 2 tickets for Thursday, and then 1 on 1 single seat level 1 as well. So I'll have something ready for you to enter your details. Who have we got here? Lucinda, hello.
Hello.
Lucinda?
My studio volume is really, really not hearing you. So I've technically cheated by having my computer monitor, so I know when I'm talking over you or not, like the last time. So apparently, unfortunately, that's a phone thing.
That's okay. What question, topic would you like to raise?
Topic would be, I suppose, just the level of how long the hangover from Friday has gone from being constructive criticism versus holding them to account to the almost kind of feeling like toxic to a point, like regardless of where you're hearing it from. So my worry is, yeah, okay, you can sort of not let that be like an acceptable standard, but we're a goal the difference. It's literally whose end is it anyway, who pulls off the miracle, and then are we still learning the lessons that we're learning today anyway, right? So that was my frustration. So the question would be, do people think that booing at Essendon was the turnaround, or was it just bloody hard work and that was the narrative, and we don't actually have to engineer that again to like effectively go from constructive to abusive? And I mean, with Harry, I mean, it wasn't just correcting the skill and or inaccuracy, it was also like the weight of not just the media, but, you know, the fans, that it could have, you know, delayed his, you know, return to what he is now, for example. So I'm just worried that we're accidentally kind of, you know, they've got training to deal with this. I know that.
Let's break this down. Let's break this down. Let's break this down. It's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Let's break this down. So the first part is, how long is the hangover going to last? The second part is referring to the criticism becoming a meltdown. And I mean, look, I think Friday, I can only talk on my perspective. I think Friday I was a little bit extra edgy because I really wanted the win, and it was an emotional investment. I probably didn't realize how well we played until I watched the replay again today. It was an arm wrestle against the premier of the competition. You know, it was an arm wrestle. I think, as I said earlier in the show, I think you make a bloody great observation. I don't know if there's a school of thought out there that believes that they had to get booed off the ground against the Bombers in order to turn it around. But I
Mhm.
think we have to do everything in our power to not let that happen again.
Yeah, see, that's sorry if I'm interrupting because I literally can't hear you, so I'm winging it. So my thing is, I think we learn more from losses than victory. And like, if we find ourselves in this situation, like, let's say we win the next 3 anyway, and we might have, regardless of the last fortnight, but let's say like 3 or 4 rounds, like, we're, comfortably ahead and they eat away at our margin and it is literally the last minute. We learn from the Pies match how to do what they did, not, like as a blueprint, but kind of like we learn enough to actually generate wins based on what we can learn from this. So if they can block out the, fan discomfort, if you want to, downgrade it, and just, do such a stark turnaround from Geelong to what we saw. We had our lowest behind since opening round. Now you can granted say we have those opportunities, so that cut down the behinds. Yeah, but if you look at the goals behinds ratio, if they had those options, you'd think that there'd be more of the majors with that trajectory. So I chose personally to see the good that holds us instead. Like, I just put the, wanting the win as much as anyone away and saw how does this translate to 9 or 10 wins where we might have seen 5 or 6 if we were following a, comfortable trajectory. But now we have, taken on what was going right and we were 1 kick or 2 kicks away from the difference, and we can ultimately win 3 or 4, maybe even more games because of this experience. So they really did what I wanted in terms of Geelong to Collingwood. Like, they did enough. Like, okay, they didn't get the win, but they showed me enough. Like, how I talked even in text format after the whole Geelong experience, like, it sort of told me, okay, your intuition could be onto something. So what they demonstrated, even with the, unfortunate moments, if they, just do enough to be comfortably ahead, even if that's, 12 points or even 8 points, God forbid, for a minute and
It
a
looks
half,
like they can win
or
the
they
game.
go, okay, we're probably not going to score here. We just need to get it over the boundary line.
They look like they can at least win a game when they lose. In every loss that we've had, we've been in, I would say, a winning position. That was not the case last year. I thought last year it was just painful. It was too hard to look at. It almost looked like they could not have won those games. So
Yeah, but in terms of, sorry if I'm cutting you off again, I don't know what's going on. This phone's getting replaced. It's not going to be the norm.
Hear me? Can you not hear
But
me?
yeah, I can sort of, but it's kind of like, when you normally have like a speakerphone full volume, this is full volume. You're probably like a 4 out of 10, like 100. So I'm
going to scream at you.
it's really weird. But like, just one final point.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say like last week now it's a fortnight ago, with the Geelong perspective and the long debated friggin' umpiring stuff. Geelong people were getting peed off at Geelong people for saying, no, we got lucky. Carlton was owed A, B, C, D, E, F. No, they actually did, favour us, and they kind of offended us that we needed the, help, or there was like the controversies we didn't need. So if Geelong people are fighting along Geelong side, well, fighting each other, saying that the umpiring effed us, well, what's going on, basically? And it shouldn't have been even coming down to that, because I think our inefficiency made the Cats look really, really awesome. I just can't shake the fact that they felt like what we didn't expect to face. And even with whatever they pulled off, with the umpire, whatever you want to call it, we were still, a couple of kicks away until the biggest margin. And okay, if we hadn't run out of clock, it's a different story. But Geelong wasn't the situation where I was like, we have to play like we did against GWS and Adelaide to have a chance of, everywhere it felt like we could basically effectively kill them. It just didn't work between the sticks, and that's the only unfortunate issue. But then you have the Collingwood situation where it's complacency at that point with that result, and the rivalry doesn't help. But I just think between the turnaround that they already showed me and what they can apply with like this, like for the remaining 16 rounds, 15, 16 rounds, it gets exciting, because if they get into similar unexpectedly, or they say, look, this is our fault, they can still win before the final siren based on the stuff that they would have the skill to take on board with Voss's expertise, of course, and all the other coaches.
No, I like
Yeah.
it. Very well said.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're going to see you tomorrow night, footy abroad.
Yeah, well, most definitely.
All right. Well, I look forward
I'll
to
stick
it.
around in the chat, of course.
Sounds good. Thanks for calling up. Speak
No
to you
worries.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bye. Frankie?
Hey, how's it going, Terry?
It's going well, mate. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Wanted to talk about getting the fan base up and about.
Let's talk about getting the fan base up and about. What did you make of? Were you here for the chant conversation?
Yeah. Well, so I'm Frankie Sachs.
Yeah.
Sachs guy for anyone.
Oh yeah, I saw you before the game. That was
hell yeah.
That was a vibe.
Yeah. It was full on. My DJ mate was like, "Oh, let's not play commercial stuff. Let's go like, full on whatever." I was like, "All right, man, do whatever you want." But yeah, no, it was cool. Yeah, that game was a really weird one. So I ended up lucking out and getting some tickets, unfortunately, with some Collingwood supporters, because I didn't have a ticket for the game. I was like, let me try and sneak in. And then some Collingwood supporters were like, someone didn't rock up, come sit with us. And it was in like the AFL members section. And I guess all of them are fucking Collingwood supporters. And it was really weird to like see the stark contrast in like how they behave versus our supporter base, I guess. It's like, it felt like everyone knew each other, like the whole Collingwood section, like the AFL section, like, or wherever they were. It felt like there was some sort of like familiarity. And I don't know, no one felt scared to express themselves, which I feel like for us.
You think there's a bit of like a fear of judgment?
Yeah, something like that. Or it's like it's obviously like PTSD, like we were so bad for so long, right? Where it's like, let's like pop your head up. And it's like, are we good? Are we bad? No. Yeah, let's cheer. No. And like being like really hesitant to give it your all, because like you're going to be, we're going to have another season where we win 2 games. But I don't know. I think there's something in like having an in-person community where like everyone meets up and they're kind of familiar and they're not scared to express themselves. Cause like it feels like when I'm in like Carlton sections and stuff, everyone's scared of being called an idiot for being the positive supporter. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. So there's like
that totally makes sense. Unfortunately, yeah.
Just so many nuffs in the fan base. Still,
no. Whatever you call them, nuffs or whatever. I definitely feel. I mean, we all a lot of people take out their frustrations at the footy. That's what they use it for. I had a back and forth with a Carlton supporter a few weeks ago. I think it was Pitto's second game against the Giants, and he's screaming out for Pitto to kick the ball. And Pitto had handballed inboard to a midfielder, which was the right play. And I sort of turned around to him and go, "Bro, what do you mean? He's a ruckman. We want him giving that ball off." So I get what you mean. People can sometimes get into you if you're being too positive. I cop it here all the time. It's like
100%. Well, it's just about like just the general vibes that you're feeling. And if it's not 100%,
it's a hard one to crack. Pommy's right. It's a hard fan base. It's because we don't have a collective belief.
Yeah. Well, I was saying before, like something like a dedicated Blue Abroad section where everyone's like, okay, cool, we've all collectively bought in, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like
a BA
which would be insane and impossible to like logistically do. But if everyone's like, hey, let's try and sit around here, or like if everyone just tries to get tickets next to the cheer squad, also for people in the chat that don't know, me and a friend wrote the song that they run out on the field on, like where they're with the chants and the da 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 and everything, and we kind of wrote it specifically in mind to have like people chanting that, and like what's something that we can rival the Collingwood slow chant, because that gives me the shits every time it started, especially on the other night. I was like, I just wanted to kill everyone.
Do you think, you know what I'm noticing? I think we are so far in our egos that we don't want to try and do something because there's this, we don't want to be copying Collingwood. We're not trying to copy Collingwood. We're trying to outdo Collingwood.
Exactly.
I think we can get over ourselves and our egos of like, but it's Collingwood's thing. No, we can do it better.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Or like just having something that's something that we can call our thing. It's like we're such a big club, and like, so many members and everything, and what we're doing as far as chants and everything is amazing. And when it's undeniable, it's insane. But it's more getting to that point. That's starting it up is the hard thing.
Yes. Yeah, look, it's hard to. The one thing I've learned in this game, you cannot tell people what to do.
No.
That's a quick way for them to not do what you want them to do.
100%.
But I do see the conversation bubbling over the last few weeks in particular. Maybe it's a this season thing. I definitely have noticed it organically start to grow. People are wanting something else to be added to the game day experience. I think the club wants it. I think the players want it. The players are the ones that suggested the Seven Nation Army before the game. Like, they brought that to light. They wanted that. We just haven't landed on something yet, because I think we've had Freddie Mercury into Seven Nation Army, and then we had Robbie Williams on the weekend for a special cause, and then we have like like it's changing. It's we're just trying. We're trying and we're testing.
Yeah, for sure. It just feels like a bunch of like chaos energy that just, if it's directed, it'll like be like this insane laser beam that'll just like be nuts. But like, did you see the violin player she's playing at all the soccer games?
Yep.
What are your thoughts on doing something like that? Because like there's part of me that thinks, people are trying to like Americanize the sport, and like you're bringing the focus away from the game, but like to try and bring like music and entertainment in a way that is enhancing the game as opposed to taking your mind off it. Like, it seems like that could be something. I don't know.
I mean, you've got the sax in your hand, mate. Do we bring the sax into the stadium and like get you going all game?
We got drums in the cheer squad. If you need a sax player,
Can we bring a sax into the cheer squad? Is that a thing?
I have no idea. That could be cool though, because we floated the idea of having. I've got a drummer friend of mine, and then like me on sax on top of the, like, as the players run out. I thought it'd be a cool idea for us to be on like either end on top of the race when they run out, playing that da 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 thing. I reckon that could be cool, but just trying to think of something, because
I've got it.
Go on.
I figured it out. I think everyone will get on board if they hear this at the footy.
We sorted it.
We fixed it.
Every time Mackay scores a goal, that's the thing.
Yeah. So no, look, I think the conversation is getting louder and louder. I don't know what that becomes, but let's just see. I mean, a lot of you in the chat want to get around. Come on, you Blues.
Yeah. I saw that too.
So let's see how that goes.
We'll figure it out.
We will. When are you next playing? Are you playing this week?
Yeah, I'm at the Melbourne game. So far, all the home games are the G for us. So I'll be outside gate. Where was it? Was it gate 3? Like next to the MCC members, just a bit further down.
Gate 3/2. Yeah, that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Where like the baggers area, like where all our stuff is. We'll be
All right.
playing some tunes. So come say hi.
Chat. Go and see Frankie on the saxophone on Thursday night before you get into the stadium, mate.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much. Cheers. Go Blues.
See you, man. Go Blues. Johnny Holden, the great man.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, yeah, not too bad. Just a couple of things. Just over the weekend, I noticed like the negativity with us losing to Collingwood. People just gotta just hang on a bit. Like we've lost our last two games against the last two premiers by 13 and 6 points collectively. Just give them some credit. I mean, as I think I put in one of the posts after the game, we have no right to stand up on a soapbox and demand that we are the almighty Carlton. We've proven nothing. We haven't won a final, like a serious final. We haven't won a grand final. We're not consistent top four side. So we are getting there. If you put it in let's say a race sort of stakes, last year we were half a lap away. Now we're a car length away. We're getting there. It takes time. You look at all the good sides, Geelong, Richmond, Hawthorn. Doggies are an anomaly. They all took a few years of heartache to get to where they needed to be, and then they went light bulb moment, and then everything clicked and they went forward. We're still learning what that light bulb moment is. Like you look at last year, how this time last year, Collingwood beat us by 5-6 goals? Brisbane beat us. Essendon beat us. Now they're beating us, but they're only just beating us by minuscule. I mean, on the weekend, that last contest, Walsh sort of hesitates because Chera and Cottrell got the ball. Now, if that comes out Walsh's way, Dacos looks like the idiot because he's run off into open space, leaving Walsh free. Walsh gets the ball, goes forward, who knows what happens. But it didn't. They fumbled it. It went out the back. Dacos runs onto it. He goals. Everyone's on Walsh's case. You know, oh my God, he's letting go, yada, yada, yada. Same as Harry. Like, for everything that Harry did, there was one guy that was on the fan cams that like wanted to sell him and everything else like that. It was like, calm down. It takes. I saw your face and you were just trying to be that political and just like keep the calm. But it was like you want to sack a guy who last year all we did was criticize the guy on him. Is he kicking straight? Is he going around the corner? He went back. He practiced. He's now got a routine of 10 steps and he kicks through the ball and he's hardly missed. He makes one bad error and, okay, he kicks it inboard, which is probably the right way we play, is top of the square or between centre forward, full forward, that middle pack, rather than go into a pocket. He just kicked it a little bit too hard and went to the Collingwood play. If it hadn't had as much legs on it, it probably would have been a mark. He makes one mistake, but he kicks 4 goals. Like you said, like we don't have Harry this year. We're not 5-3. We're lucky if we're 2-6. 100%. You know, so it's just relax a little bit. I mean, I said it last year and I'll say it again this year. I still don't think we're at our best until next year. We may win this year, but I still think next year is when we're going to really kick off, because all these little pieces will just start to, you know, instead of it being like a snake, it'll become a straight line and things will start going ahead. And everything's in little increments. Until we fine tune everything, we're on the right track. We just got to remember it's a long race. Look at last year. This time last year, what was it? Round 12, round 13, well, 15th.
Yep.
We finished 3rd. Just relax. It's the start of May. You know, we don't have nowhere near our best team in. As you were saying before, we've had, 3 players in defence that's played together all year? Come on. I mean, the only other side in the competition that's got worse injuries than us is Richmond, and they're second last. You know? Geelong, they played their best side, bar Stewart, and beat us by 2 kicks. Collingwood had 2 of their best players out. They beat us by a kick. We've still got 5 or 6 of our best not there, and we're taking it to the best. Now, I'm not using injuries as an excuse, but sometimes you go, your depth's only so thick, and you don't have so many players all the time, especially considering us. It's all in the back line. So I just think, just breathe. We'll get these players back. Like those small forwards.
We're in the second. If you split the season into 4 quarters, we are currently at the start of the second quarter.
Exactly.
Like we're not.
And look at everything that we've got to come back now. The places where we're losing a lot of our games is that half forward bit, and we've got no Fogarty, who's our number 1 contested pressure tackler, and you notice that when he's not there, that Maynard type player, that John Noble type player, that comes out the back and just rips us apart. Fogarty cleans that up because he's right on their hammer all the time. No Jack Martin. You've got our best small forwards not playing in Motlop. We've still got so much more to go, and they're all coming back in the next couple of weeks. Now, if we had just got beaten by Hawthorn or a North Melbourne or a West Coast, by all means, jump on board and go, hey, demand better, demand more. But, at the time, Geelong were undefeated. We're playing the best side. Collingwood are last year's premiers who are just starting to get their shit together. And people are demanding, we should have won. Why should we? Because they had to go out? Seriously, what makes us that we are? They demand it, and when we lose to a better side, it's almost like let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, just relax. We have not deserved that right just yet.
I think what got us to turn the page last year was we had to be humble. Now we start, and then we saw some success towards the end of the year. Now we start this year with this mighty roar of expectation, and we're Carlton, and we're back, and this and that. And I think if we're not careful, we're going to go through something similar, and we're going to have to be humbled again. And I actually think the last 2 weeks, hopefully, is the humbling. The group made their success last year by getting back to that blue collar style of football, tough, workmanlike. And then the talent started kicking in, but the hard work was first. So I think there's something to be learned from that. The humility is important.
Yeah, they've just got to like the thing I noticed was like last year, it was that not only the next man up, but like you said, that humbleness. And this year, it was like, no, we've got to finish top 4 or else it's a fail. And you just go, whoa, hang on a minute. We've made 1 finals appearance in 12 years or 10 years, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, it's like top 4 or it's bust. If we finish 6, it's a fail. It's like, really? Really? Go back and have a look at all these other sides. How many years did it take Richmond to sort of, before it all clicked? Hawthorn before it clicked. Geelong. I mean, they went through that little bit of a period. Then they were gone for 10 years. People forget that. Hawthorn haven't done nothing for nearly, 8 years, 9 years? So it's not that easy. You just got to relax. And I think we'll get there.
Jason, this is absolutely incorrect. The quick sacking of this and that does not come from the young generation, mate. That was passed down. That was passed down to us,
mate. That was back in my day in the 70s and 80s. Like, some of the crazy stuff that I saw at the club in the 80s and the 90s. Like Walls, we won the flag in 87. 88 was an okay year. 89, we had a few injuries. He was sacked. See you later. You're not winning. See you later. and they brought Jezza in, and there was no. They didn't muck around back then. It was that cutthroat. You lost 3 or 4 games in a row. Didn't matter whether you Walsh just won a premiership in '87. Come
Wow.
'89, I think he lost 4 or 5 games. Lost to Brisbane, sacked. They didn't muck around. So that whole philosophy's been around for a long time with our club. It's better now under Sayers because he's that new regime where he's not that. He's not as. How do you say? He's not as cutthroat as the other ones were because they were bad.
They're not trigger. Like, I mean, they use support and to sort of get through the tough times now.
They use their brain too.
Well, I think the pressure, and they're not succumbing to the pressure. You know, I think the board in previous boards felt the pressure from the fan base, and to release the pressure, they'd sack someone and there's a scapegoat, and then you know, we sort of go through this cycle of starting again and getting to the same point.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work. I say it all the time to my son, and that it takes a good 5 to 6 years from a coach to come in until they have success, and then from then on, it's sustained success. You have a look at everyone. The only ones that are different is the Doggies. They had 4 weeks in the finals that they played 4 good games. They've done nothing since.
Yeah.
And the Pies, but people forget Collingwood were in a grand final in 18. They were finals in 19 and 20. I think they had 1 bad year in 21, and they were decimated by injuries. They get a new coach in, everyone's fit, healthy, and then skyrocket. So it's not a one-hit wonder with the Collingwood. They've been thereabouts for the last 5 or 6 years. They just had 1 bad year. Like Melbourne, they had 1 bad year, reset, got a few draft picks, and took off again. That's what Collingwood did.
We are the new team in this, what we believe to be upper echelon group in the league. We only came into this group for the first time 2023. So I've got a question for you as well.
Yeah.
In the chat, they've been talking about back in the day, there used to be this chant, "Come on, you Blues." Was that back in the day, or was there a chant like that? Like,
I can't recall it back in the 80s, 90s. I never went to much football in the noughties because I worked shift work. So by about 2003 to 13, 14, I was working shift work. So I worked every weekend. So I missed all that kind of football. So I never went that times. But in the 80s, 90s, I never heard it. And I used to sit literally or stand behind the Carlton cheer squad at the Heatley stand, and never heard any of that kind of stuff back then. So if it's back in the day, it's only just in the noughties, early noughties. So I never heard it back then.
Something that used to be done that maybe, because like I said earlier, there's a conversation that's just sparking up over the last few weeks about bringing something else to the fan experience from us during game. I think this chant or this war cry or this thing that we can use when things aren't going our way, that we can lean on.
That last guy hit the nail on the head. You almost feel intimidated, like you say, even when they sort of do Carlton and they clap Carlton. If you miss a beat, and let's say they do it in 3 and you go to the 4th, the people look at you like you're a freak of nature. It's like, oh my God, look at you. You missed the beat. And so I can understand why some people don't want to try and start something, because the people around you look at you like you've just grown a hand out of the top of your head. It's like, you're a freak. It is. And like, I've noticed it with people around me, even myself, if I've sort of misjudged it and gone that extra Carlton, people just automatically, they turn around and look at you like, what are you doing? Are you an idiot? So to start a new song or something like that, that's going to take some big balls for someone who's either very, very drunk or just has a big group of people who are already in on it that starts it. Like the cheer squad, for argument's sakes. I mean, if you come up with one and you're a bit too shy to start it yourself, go see Nick and the boys down in the cheer squad and throw it their way. They might be able to bring it on. You know what I mean? Rather than me start it out in the outer somewhere, if I went to Nick and went, oh, Nick, how about this for an idea? And him and the boys and the girls in the cheer squad started it, it might reverberate around the ground.
I'll tell you now, if you go up to Nick and say, hey, can we try this? I'm sure they'd be willing to get around it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So not just from me, but from anyone else who's got an idea, but feels uncomfortable starting it, go down and see the guys and girls down there because they'll help us out.
Mm.
And Nick's so approachable. You know, so's Godfather. I mean, if you go down and speak to those guys, they're very, very approachable. So they're not going to just blow you off.
If they'll watch this space, I don't know if it'll start this way. I don't know, but I just sense it's coming. I don't know what it is, what it sounds like.
But like Nick said, it's something you can't just create. It's got to be organic. It can't just be force fed. It's got to be organic, or else it just doesn't work.
True. I think the use of the drums is interesting, but yeah, we'll talk about.
Yeah, no, the drums good. Drums are good because that's not many other cheer squads have it, and it really reverberates around the ground. Like you can hear them from all over, so it's almost like they're amplified, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they're good. All right, you have a good night, and probably catch you on Thursday.
Sounds
all right,
good,
buddy.
Mate.
All right, have a good one, mate. Bye bye.
Wow, something's coming. I don't know. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. Start of the conversation. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the drums, and we're just like lead up into the half or into the quarter. I don't know. There's so many ideas. Maybe on the team show, guys, we will chat more about this. There'll be more of you watching. Get your friends to watch the team show and tune in. And what we'll do is we'll go through and have a chat about different things. Think between now and Wednesday night about this conversation with the chant or something. Have a think about it, and then bring your feedback on Wednesday during the team show, and we'll go through it. But I thought it was a really productive show and a really productive conversation. So thank you for everybody who got involved. That's the BA show this Monday, the 6th of May, 2024. The preview for the Ds will be out tomorrow morning-ish, maybe lunchtime. I'll premiere it. Footy abroad tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Pommy's back in. So Pommy, myself, Jake, and Swoop Luke will be there tomorrow night. And then Wednesday teams, Thursday game day. So that's that. Thank you very much to our friends at Canoleria for sponsoring the Blue Abroad show. Have a good one, guys. Get a good sleep in. We'll go from there.